Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, we are going to learn about creating an EBS volume and attaching it. So I'm going to show a few things via the UI. I'm going to assume in the future the UI is going to change here. So I really want to focus on the pragmatic way of doing it. But I'm just going to click into here so you have a general idea. So when we create an instance, we have an option down here to attach volumes. So if we go down below here, storage, we'll have our root volume here, and then we can add additional volumes. If we go to advanced, we should have more options here to configure our volume. But what I want to do is I want to create a volume this way, so independently, and then attach it to a volume. But anytime we launch up an EC2 instance, we do have to have some kind of volume there. So I'm going to go over to our AWS examples, and I've opened this up in Gitpod as per usual. And what I want to do here is make a new folder. See, I have a lot of folders at this time of the video, but I'm going to go ahead and say make directory EBS. And we'll just say make directory basic. Oh, sorry, we'll cd into that. Not EB, I want to go to EBS. Basic. And I'll cd into that. Okay, and so what I want to do is just get a EC2 instance set up here. So I should have an EC2 CloudFormation script somewhere. So let me just go find that quickly. I think I recall having one here up in the AWS ASG. And so here's one where we have a very simple one. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy these two files out. If it's the future, you already have this in the correct folder. So just understand I'm doing what I'm doing here. But we're going to go to our new EBS directory. I'm going to go ahead and paste these files in here. And we'll take a look at what we have. So I'm just going to rename these so that it's a little bit nicer. So deploy EC2 instance. We'll just say EBS Basic. Okay, and I'm going to go over here, and we're going to take a look here. So this is for T3 Micro, and I have an AMI set up here. And so if you need to fill these in, just go over to EC2. It's not too hard. Just go over to EC2 here. Go to Instances. Launch an instance, and then you can go grab the AMI for your particular region over here. So here is one that is there. I already know this is properly configured, so I don't have an issue. Same thing with your VPCs and subnets. Go over to VPC. I just knocked my mouse over. VPC, and grab those values that you need. And I'm, again, just using the default VPCs in this case, so I know that these are accurate because I've been using them quite a bit here. And then I'm using the T3 Micro. T2 still exists at this time, but some services, they don't allow you to launch T2s anymore, so I'm just being progressive here and using T3s. There are T4s, but T3s is what's most likely going to be in the free tier. So let's scroll on down here. We have a Apache server that's starting up here and the security groups that are open. So that is pretty good. I think the only thing else I'd like to add here is I would probably like to add into this an SSM role. So just give me a moment to find that, okay? All right, so I think I found one right over here in my autoscaling group. And so, yeah, I have one right here. So I'm going to grab these two parts. Okay, copy this. I'm going to go back over to here to our last template, which was in EBS. And I'm going to go ahead and just go down here and paste that in. And so what we have here is an SSM role, and it's just going to allow for this Amazon SSM Managed Instance Core so that we can use Sessions Manager to get in. I do need to attach the EC2 instance profile, so that is something that we'll want to do. So just give me a moment to pull up the docs here. So we'll go over to our EC2 instance resources, and there should be a profile somewhere in here. IAM instance profile. Yep, I'm going to go ahead down below to our EC2 instance. And I'll place this in. And I'm going to assume that it's ref. It might not be ref, but I'm going to try anyway. Okay, and so we have our IAM profile here. Now notice we define our network interfaces. In here, we are not defining any block storage. Now we could do that if we want to. So if we go up to here, somewhere here, it should have something for our block device mappings. Yep. And so the block device mappings entries that define block devices to attach to the instance. So we go into here because I'm curious if this is for creating them on the fly or if you can associate an existing one. So specifies a block device mapping for an instance. You must specify exactly one of the following properties: virtual name, EBS, or no device. So we go down below Parameters used to automatically set up an EBS volume when the instance launches. We'll go into here. And notice that it's not referencing an existing one. It actually creates a new one. So we can configure this if we want, but I'm going to leave it alone because it's going to default and set something up for us. And that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in creating an isolate EBS volume and then attaching it to this here. So I think this is okay. This seems like this is fine. I'm going to go over to here, and we're going to take a look at our deploy script. Everything looks fine. The names look fine. And I'm going to go and, just in case I have, I'm going to chmod that file. Okay. And we'll go ahead and deploy this. This is going into CA Central 1. And so it has one little error here with the IAM profile, which was the only thing we really added here, IAM instance profile. Unresolved dependency. Did I not copy that name correctly? EC2 instance profile, copy this again. Go back up to here. And I'll type in clear, and we'll try to deploy this again. My Git pod is messing up, so I'm just going to give it a nice refresh here. Cloud developer environments are always kind of finicky. And we're going to go ahead, clear this out, and I'm going to go and deploy this. And I'm going to make my way over to CloudFormation. And we'll go over to change sets here, and we'll execute our change set. While this is deploying, let's go take a look at EBS under EC2. So we can kind of see the options that we have. So it's under here under volumes, and we can create a volume, and notice that we have our different types. For this, we can set the gigabyte size, the IOPS, the throughput for megabits per second, the availability zone. We probably want to launch this in the same AZ as our server, so that's something we have to consider. Notice we have the encryption option, so that's all the stuff that we have here, okay? So what I want to do is I want to wait for that volume to spin up, and while that is happening, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add some additional code here, okay? Because I want to attach more volumes. And so if we go here on the left-hand side, there should be something for EBS. We have this volume attachment, which I think that we'll be using later on. I'm going to go ahead and just paste that in here. And if we go to examples here, yep, so we can go ahead and create our volume. Also, it looks like it defines the mount point, which is interesting. Volume attachment. Oh, this isn't, oh, sorry, they're calling it mount point. All right. So what we'll do is we'll copy this. Oh, yeah, this is the mount point and the volume. This is actually perfect. We need both of these. So I'll go ahead here. I'll paste this in. And this one is really for this one here, the volume attachment. And I also want the volume, so we'll go ahead and grab this as well. Okay. And our EC2 instance is called my EC2 instance, so we'll have to go update that down below. Here, this is my EC2 instance. And then here we have my EC2 instance. And notice that it's launching in the same availability zones. And it's actually a good idea if we add a tag here because it's going to get really annoying if we can't tell our new volume. So I'm just going to give it the name tag so that will show up. I'm just going to make this 20 because I don't want the biggest volume in the world. But let's take a look at some of the properties. Okay, get this out of the way. So we have auto-enable I/O. So it indicates whether the volume is auto-enabled for I/O operations. EBS disables I/O volumes from attached EC2 instances when it determines the volume data is potentially inconsistent. So that's one thing. We have availability zone, encrypted or IOPS, multi-attach enabled, size. Okay, so all that stuff seems pretty straightforward. So, whoops. What I want to do is go take a look and see if our EC2 instance is ready. And we have an instance. All right, and I want to go ahead and connect to this, and we're going to use Sessions Manager. So I want to take a look at the actual disk volumes and see what we have here. So we'll type in sudo su-ec2 user. Okay, we'll type in clear. And if we type in like DHF, I can't remember, is it DF or DH? We'll say man DF. Oh, this is it. So df reports a file system, and H is for human readable. So we'll do df space -H. And it's going to tell us what we have here. And so what I'm looking for is to see our volume of data. So let's go take a look at our EC2 instance. And if we go to storage, wherever that is, it says that we have a volume of 8 gigabits. And it says the device name is devxvda. Okay, so we go back over here and we see dev, but I don't see our volume. So what happens if we do this? I was kind of expecting to see the volume here, so just give me a moment, okay? All right, so I think our volume is here. It's just that it's partitioned, and so I'm assuming that you see this dev directory. I'm assuming that we have this more in one partition. So we have our actual volume that we're on right now, and then we have over here the boot volume. So I think that is what is occurring here. So, again, I'm not the best at storage, but, I've done enough of it to kind of have an idea what's going on. So that is, I think, what is happening here. So now what I want to do is go back over to here, and we have our new volume, and let's go ahead and see if we can deploy that. It says unresolved dependencies, my EC2 instance. So something is spelled wrong here. I'm going to go up here, copy that. And I'm just going to make sure I spelled that exactly the same. I think it's the casing's a little bit different. And we'll go ahead and deploy that. I'm going to go back over to here to CloudFormation. And we'll go into EC2 Basic. We'll go to our change sets, and we'll go ahead and execute this. And so we'll just give a moment for that volume to create, and we'll be back here when this is successfully done. All right, so that update is complete. So I'm going to go back over to Systems Manager, as I believe we are still connected, and we'll do dfh. Oh, we'll just clear this here. dfsh, and what I'm looking for is our additional volume, and I can't remember what we said it would be, maybe 20 gigabytes. So, but let's go take a look at EBS. EBS. EC2, I wish they'd make that searchable. I don't know why they don't do that. It's been years. Come on, people. We go over here and we see our new volume. Oh, it's GPT-2. It's fine, but I wanted GP3. I guess that's okay. And so we're looking for that additional volume. So notice that I do not see it. Let's go over to our EC2 instance. And so this is our current one over here. And we'll go over to storage. And so we can see that the device name is here. So we're going to have to do a little bit more work to get this to show up. Well, actually, this one's 2020. So let's go back and take a look here. Yeah, so we're going to have to do a little bit more work. So just give me a moment here to get the next step. All right, so I've gone over here, and there's another command we can use called lsblk. And so the one that we're using, df, which is a Linux command, shows you disk usage, but this one actually shows you block storage. So I think if we run this, we're going to get some more interesting information here. Okay, and so now we can kind of see that we have this volume here, the 8 gigabytes, and how it is being partitioned into our 3 partitions. So that makes more sense. Definitely easier than this up here. And then down below, we can see that we have this other volume here, but it's not partitioned. So I guess what we'll have to do is partition it so that we can start using it. But let me just see what the next step is, okay? All right, so it seems like we should check to see if it actually has a file system on it. So it's telling us to use the sudo file command. Is it xvda1? I don't know. We'll take a look here. It is SDH, so that is totally fine. We'll go ahead and just paste this in for a second. And I'm going to change this to DH. So we said here. Let's go back over to here, SDH. Well, what we could do is just autocomplete and see what's here. Yeah, we'll just do that. And maybe what it is, it's xvda1. So we'll go ahead and try this, xvda1. And this one has a symbolic link to this, so I'm guessing it's not that. I'm looking for the S's here. There's an SDH in here. Okay. SDH. Oh, okay, so it is. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I thought we had an error, but it is. So this is the symbolic link to this, and so this is our disk. It didn't show us anything interesting here. So if we go back here, notice it says what file system it is using. So I guess the next thing we need to do is apply a file system. All right, so we need to create a mount point. So we'll go ahead and create that wherever we want. They're suggesting data. I'm going to go back over to here. We'll just say sudo make directory. I'm going to say new volume. So now we have this as our new place to mount our volume. Okay. And so then we can just mount it that way. But again, there's no file system, so I keep feeling like there's a step that is missing here. Again, not the best with volumes. Baco is the one that's a lot better at this, but we'll stumble our way through here. I don't have to go get Baco on this. We'll say sudo mount, and we want to do dev sdh, and then we'll say new volume. Wrong fs type. Bad super block. Okay, so I imagine what we have to do is get a file system on here, so just give me a moment, okay? All right, so I found what we need to find out. So we can type in sudo mkfs, so make a file system. And then we can specify one that we want to utilize. We can do xfs or something like ext4. I'm not the best at this. So I'm just going to choose ffx, and I hope that it works here. I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to go to our dev directory, and this one was sdh. Okay, and so I'm just going to hope that that works. And it looks like that it probably worked. So now we can probably go mount the volume, but before we do, let's just go back up to our command and see if it tells us what it is. So if we go here, it just says there's a symbolic link there. I mean, it looks like it did something here, so I'm assuming that it worked, but let's go back up to our mount, and we'll attempt to mount this, and now mounted. Okay, great. So now we have our mountable drive. I'm gonna go back to our lsbk command, wherever that was, lsblk. And so we can see our new volume and its mount point. Let's go back to df-h. There we go, and there is our new volume. So we are in great shape. Just so that you don't have to remember all these commands, what I'm gonna do is go over here and just quickly document them. So I'll go ahead and say new file, readme.md, and just give me a moment to type it in. All right, there we go. So I wrote those all in here, so that saves us some time. We can go to our new volume now. And if we want to, we can just make a file. So say hello.txt. And we have that, so we'll type in sudo. This just has to do with the permissions of the volume. So we do ls-la on our new volume. I think we made it at root, right? Yeah, it's here, and so only root can do that, and that's why we're having to type sudo su. We can change those permissions if we want to. I think we just say chown and say ec2 user for the new volume. I'll see if that helps out here. And we'll just put sudo in front of that so we can do that. And so now if we go into our new volume, we just say touch goodbye txt. There we go. And so then we can work with that. So that's how we would work with that additional volume. I think that is sufficient for this part of the video. So I think we are good, and we are done here. So we'll go ahead and clean up. So I'm going to go over to EC2 here. And we'll go to instances, or sorry, CloudFormation. I'm getting a little bit mixed up here today. CloudFormation, and we will tear down our stack, and that should take down everything. All right, so we'll just give this a refresh, and I'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.